This is Colin O'Keefe for LXBN TV. As part of our ongoing coverage of LegalTech New York 2012, I am here with John Frank, Deputy General Counsel of Microsoft, immediately after his keynote on ethical business in a global economy. John, you reeled off some pretty alarming statistics when it comes to bribery and corruption. How prevalent are these two things in American companies today?
Well, the nature of corrupt practices is that it's not transparent, so we really don't know. We do know that last year DOJ and SEC collected $4 billion of fines and penalties, and so that's a pretty broad set of problems. I think perhaps we're understanding the problem better today, but I think we have a ways to go to improve our business practices.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this was a question that was posed from the audience during your presentation, but for the laws that are implemented to prevent corruption and bribery, do those laws put the countries that implement them at an economic disadvantage?
Well, I think that certainly that the goal of the OECD Anti-Bribery Convention in 1997 was to create more consensus among the major industrial countries about their business practices around corruption, and so I think that was a turning point, one turning point, where at least Western European countries removed tax deductibility for bribes and made it clear. The UK anti-bribery law is a very strong law that's just coming into force, and so I think there's a strong push to create a different business culture and legal environment. But as Transparency International's numbers show, there's still a perception that companies from some countries are far more willing to pay bribes, and I think that we all have to be alert to that. But I think enforcement authorities, they want to know if you lose a deal because the other person paid a bribe, the DOJ is very very willing to follow up and look at that because it's just not acceptable.
And lastly, how does Microsoft police itself when it comes to anti-corruption and anti-bribery, and are there technical solutions that are implemented?
Absolutely. We've set up a program office specifically focused on our anti-corruption compliance program because it is our #1 priority. And it's become that because the DOJ's enforcement activities and the fact that we have a global footprint and doing business in countries where corruption is far too prevalent. And so we've got a myriad system from strong executive messaging to strong training programs. But then we also want to go further. We want to create, as a foundation, personal accountability for our employees who work with representatives to understand that they're accountable for that person's conduct. And secondly, we've developed a number of systems to create financial controls to prevent and detect, and the system I talked about today, what we call a representative integrity tool, ties across a myriad of systems so that we can have a uniform vetting process that we've calibrated so that we're not spending excessive time on low risk areas, but turning up the amount of time we spend on high risk areas, because we want to make sure that we're not only vetting, but we're adjusting the financial controls around our high-risk areas so that we can prevent and detect.
Of course. Once again, that was John Frank, Deputy General Counsel at Microsoft. For more coverage of LegalTech New York 2012 and our video interviews with presenters, exhibitors, and attendees, be sure to visit lxbn.lexblog.com. Thank you, John.
Thank you.